do have to start on a bit of a more somber note. Unfortunately, over the week, we heard that comic creator Keith Giffen passed away. Now, before we have some Clay gathered some reactions from people and some like uh, tweets or skeets or whatever of people talking about Keith Giffen and his influence in the industry. But let's kind of go around the room first and just talk about like some of your favorite stuff from Keith Giffen. Josh, I'm gonna throw it to you because you have a book by your side. So
Oh yeah. This news really hurt. I love Keith Giffen. I would even say he was formative for me. When I discovered the Ambush Bug limited series, which was just on the spinner rack at the Five and Dime near my house. I felt like for the first time, I'd always loved comics up to that point, but for the first time I felt like this is a comic for me, right? It was my humor. It was acerbic. It played with conventions of comics. It was revelatory. And it sounds weird to say because it's fucking Ambush Bug, but it was so great. I loved it so much. And I became an immediate fan. And so I know there's so much that the Giffen did in the industry. Legion of Superheroes, all that stuff. But please, if you've never read Ambush Bug, just go track down this showcase volume. It basically puts everything except the most recent series that came out in 2010, I think. It's been a while, but anyway, really great. And I think also one thing about Giffen that's not as talked about as much is how much of a as somebody in the industry, he was actively looking for new talent. Mm-hmm. Go track down interviews with Colleen Durant, who was a very close friend of Giffen, about how he essentially was the way that she got into the industry, and just a total gentleman. Just a great guy, a huge loss. So
yeah, we'll see from the reactions. But Clay, what about you? Where do you on Keith Giffen? What's your stuff?
Well, he created Rocket Raccoon, is just like one of my favorite characters. So it was tough to hear. He wrote comics that like his Justice League run is just one of the most influential, because it was taking this team. You had typically seen these superhero teams come together. They either do the trope of fighting each other, then working together, or they just come together to solve a problem. But with Keith, it was like the interpersonal relationships that were the conflict. It was either Booster and Beetle being great friends and having great dialogue together, or it was Batman versus Green Lantern. Everyone knows the punch. The punch issue is one of the greatest issues of Justice League, because Batman knocks out Guy Gardner and everybody's floored by it. Everybody's floored by it. He wrote Annihilation, which is the bringing the Marvel Cosmic together. And that's, as much as I kind of rail on event books, that's what I go back and reread, because I kind of love his take on the space opera. And what was the last one I was saying? I went through my inventory because I was like, I wonder how many books I have by Keith Giffen. I had 75 books, and that's like trades and comics. So, because I know I have the trades on his Justice. I have the issues on his Justice League run, and then he did a couple that were minis. I can't believe this is or what's the title, Josh? I can't believe this is Justice League. I don't want to have to roll over there and grab it.
I can't remember that one.
Yeah,
I believe it's not butter.
Yes, it's kind of like that title. But yeah, I was seeing comics from a different angle every time I was reading his books.
Gotcha. Okay, Jeff, what about you? What's your Keith Giffen stuff?
I don't know who he is. No, I'm just kidding.
Keith Giffen? Who's that?
Giffen, yeah, he was a record producer. No, in all honesty, I've not read a ton of Giffen. I have read the Justice League stuff, and at the time, because I was alive back then, I just remember it being like comics can be about superheroes and funny, and like it was kind of eye opening, because also at that time there was kind of a real pivot to match the Batman Year One, kind of go dark and gritty. So it was a nice pivot because he was doing something completely different than what the growing trend in comics was doing at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've read and then the I Can't Believe It's Justice League, and I think there was another mini like I still can't believe it's not Justice League after that or something like that.
This doesn't taste like Justice League.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Going.
Justice League fat free, zero.
Yeah. Cool. But yeah, I definitely enjoy it, and I've always kind of meant to go back and pick up some more stuff, but there's a lot to read in life.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. I was gonna private message this to Josh, but I'll just tell him, if you're gonna type, can you mute the microphone so we don't hear?
Sorry. I'm trying to ask Kevin Smith on Threads a question about. I've always thought the Clerks poster was directly inspired by Maguire's Justice League cover.
Oh, okay.
It's the same pose. And usually I wouldn't, but knowing what a big comic nerd Kevin Smith is, and anyway, sorry, I was sitting here thinking, shit. I guess.
Finish your question. Get us that live news.
All right, I'll try, but I will mute. Sorry.
I was gonna type it, but I was like, no, this would be funnier if I just wait until him. All right, just real quick for Keith Giffen. The same as you guys for sure, but I think so. When I got into comics in the new 52, they did something called, and like on the second or third wave, they did something called Justice League 3000, which was like, let's somebody in the future, like it was going to hell, and they're like, we need heroes. So they remember the heroic age. So they kind of clone all the Justice League members, but they came out wrong. Like there was something off about each one of them. Like, Superman, he had the powers, but he didn't have the what makes him Superman, like his values. The Flash couldn't control his powers very well. So I read that, and it was with the artist name just escaped me.
So wait a minute, he created Superman without his values. Isn't that just Zack Snyder's Superman?
I have to go back and read it. Maybe that's what Zack Snyder read. Maybe. But yeah, I really liked it. It was a really funny book. It focused a lot on that, but also the superheroics were a lot of fun. So that's kind of where I stand. Now, the industry, of course, they were also shocked by it. And this is kind of where... So I read this skeet from Chris Conroy as well, who's an editor over at DC. And then Neil Gaiman replied, because of course I think Keith Giffen is from the UK, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I didn't think so.
I don't know.
Is he?
Yeah, because he's
I thought he was
AD 2000 AD and all that. Those.
No, he's from New York. He's from Queens.
Oh, interesting. I thought he was from over there just because of all the work that he did, and the people that he kind of worked with too. Huh. So Charles Soule responding as well, but let's just go through some of these. Brian Keene. Now, who is Brian Keene?
He's a horror author.
Okay.
He's written some comics too.
Yeah, gotcha. We have Al Ewing. Yeah.
I love that he remembered something so specific as a page from his entire run of work.
Son of Ambush Bug.
That's in here.
We have Mark Waid as well.
Yeah, God, just it's so nice that somebody so influential and respected was also just a really decent fucking human being.
Now you can see that Mark Waid won't change his update his Blue Sky profile, but he took the time to go in and say something. That's how important this was.
Yeah.
We have Tom Payer.
Doom Force. God, I forgot about Doom Force.
I know, and I love that we have that 90s cover, but he still wanted to put his own
twist
on it.
G. Willow Wilson.
Wilson.
Yeah, this one is the one that really got me because it seemed like she had gotten her career from her interaction with him.
Yeah.
Greg Rucka as well, who like a lot of these people you don't see them online a lot, and the fact that they took the time to write something.
There's Colleen. Yeah, God, that hurts.
And then here's some iconic stuff. I mean,
it's so great.
Who hasn't?
I really wish that we would get this version of the Justice League in the next iteration in the movies.
I mean, you know, with what's his face helming it,
It gives a little bit of these vibes. We have a few of these guys already in the roster, right?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be shocking if yes.
I pulled that just for Josh.
This was the first issue I ever read of Ambush Bug, because I didn't get issue 1. I think this is issue 2. Or that might be 1 actually. And just you get to the end and Darkseid is there. And I swear to God, I was standing at the spinner rack at this 5 and Diamond, Alabama, where I was at the time. And I'm just laughing so hard that I think people were worried about me because
I mean, this could have even tied into the most recent Loki.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, shit.
Neil Gaiman, Paul Levitz. Paul Levitz is an editor, I believe, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then this came from the family of Keith Giffen to kind of close out. This was posted on Facebook, which is exactly how Keith Giffen would want to be remembered. So
yeah,
I know that's such a great bit. Like to go out with the joke.
God.
So yeah, thank you for all the comics.
Like his Legion, like he wrote that 5 years later run of Legion, and I had never read Legion, and that was I could get into it from that book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there was something as well. I was such a fan of his in the 80s that after he did the run in Ambush Bug, and kind of in between Ambush Bug and when he wrote out The Heckler and he was working on Legion, his art style had this really dramatic shift. And it's talked about a lot as well because he worked on Lobo for a while. And that style specifically he had in Lobo, there was a lot of kind of industry hubbub because it looked a lot like this other artist. And Giffen just came out and said, you know what? Honestly, I think I just like internalized it. I love that artist. I looked at their work and then it influenced me, but I didn't mean to do it. I was just doing it, you know?
Yeah.
It's just nice to have someone that honest and forthright. And we've lost him. So
he did the Lobo Paramilitary Christmas, which is one of the best standalone Lobo issues. It's Lobo and Santa, and someone adapted that as a film that you can find online.
Oh, wow.
I have a copy on my hard drive if you guys can't find it. And
okay.
We'll watch. I'll throw it up in chat or something. But yeah, like the Lobo voice is Keith Giffen.
Yeah, absolutely.